Welcome to Quills and Cloaks, a writing and fandom podcast, delving into the world of fandom discussions, author writing tips, and of course, all things Harry Potter. I'm Christy J. Whitney, and I will be your host and your professor. So unroll those parchments because class is in session. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the podcast today. So I wanted to take a break from just hearing myself on the podcast, and I am bringing back a TikTok buddy of mine, Madison Brunoehler, who is a professional voice actor, successful YouTuber, creative talent in lots of different areas, and if I may be so bold to say, a very proud Hufflepuff. So welcome back, Madison.
Hi, so good to be back.
Good. I am so excited to do this today. I cannot wait. So a while back, I did a panel at a conference called Slytherins and their Hufflebuddies, which was really based on this fun idea that all Slytherins have a Hufflepuff friend. And what does that look like? And what is it that sort of attracts these two personalities together? Because at least looking at it from the book series, it doesn't seem like it's a very likely pairing for friends. Now, before we start, I want to preface that, of course, I'm not trying to pigeonhole anyone into any of these four houses, because we know there are way more than just four personalities, and we can all be friends with everyone from all the different houses. But I think that there is just a very interesting connection between snakes and badgers. And I thought it would be fun to delve into it today with Madison, because I don't know if you felt this way. I did, but when we had our first podcast together, I felt instant connection. We just easy chatting, and it might just be that
we just flow. It's great.
Yeah, a little flow.
Like it's flow. Like it works.
It does.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're going to delve into that. So let's start with, tell me a little bit about your Hufflepuffness. Like, when did you get sorted? Have you taken multiple tests? What is it about Hufflepuff that you feel fits you best?
Oh, this is such a great long-winded story. I'm so glad you asked me this. Yes, I've taken multiple sorting tests. And I remember when I first got it, I was very, very young, and it was very new in the whole sorting with Pottermore and all of that. And I got Hufflepuff, and I was like, oh, Hufflepuff, how lame. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, oh no, wait, that's totally me. That is totally me. They're the best, and they're great. And what's really interesting is that very early on in Pottermore, they showed your percentages of like what other houses you could have had it with, and right beneath Hufflepuff, I came very close to Slytherin, which I was like, yeah, that makes sense. I am super ambitious. I do see that too. There was some potential for Gryffindor, and like hardly anything for Ravenclaw. Which is really funny because my brother's like a super Ravenclaw, like hardcore. So it's like, yeah, he got all the Ravenclawness. But so I took like a whole bunch of tests, and like every single time it's always Hufflepuff, always Hufflepuff, always Hufflepuff, every single time. And I even got to the Harry Potter tour at Universal Studio, where they actually put the hat on your head. And I sat down, they put the hat on my head, and it went Hufflepuff. And I was like, yeah, you know it. This hat is right. Like every time, and I'm like, yes, Hufflepuff for life. And I realized that, yeah, I am the person that always has snacks. Always. I am the mom of the group. I am like, hey, sweetie, how are you feeling? Are you doing okay? I don't want to make anybody upset. I don't want to ruffle feathers. I want everyone to get along. I want everyone to be friends. I also have this deep desire for everyone to always love me at all times. It is very Hufflepuff of me.
Yeah.
Which is why it would be great to have a Slytherin in my life that could balance me out. It's like, no, that person was a jerk to you. Let's go throat punch them or something.
Which is so accurate. It really truly is, because that's my first inclination is a throat punch. So I'm kind of, so I took the test.
You hurt my Hufflebuddy. I'm gonna hurt you bad.
I know. I just have this, it's that loyalty thing, which we'll talk about in a minute, that I think both houses really find important. But when I took the test the first time, I tried to get Ravenclaw, because we were dressing up for a convention and Ravenclaw was what was left. So I manipulated the test to get Ravenclaw. And then I realized that's probably really Slytherin of me to do. So I went back. I know, I took tests, and so I've done several, and they're all Slytherin. But it's, to me, and we'll talk about what you connect with the most, because we think of Hufflepuffs as loyal is that first thing, and then there's the other traits, and we think Slytherin is ambitious first, and then there are other traits. And I really think for me, it was like the innovativeness, resourcefulness. Like, you put me in a room, I'll figure out how to make it work, even if I don't have a lot to work with. But if I'm ambitious,
and for me, you put me in a room with a whole bunch of people, I will make friends with everybody, or attempt to. I will start conversations with complete strangers standing in line, just being like, hi, why are you here? Why are you doing that? What made you want to do that? I think that's a really cool idea. What's that button mean? And just making friends.
And I would be back in the corner going, what are they doing? But that's why Hufflepuffs are always good to have with you.
Hufflepuffs need Slytherins.
And vice versa. Because,
absolutely.
Sometimes I'm grumpy, and I need somebody to go to the front desk of whatever and be able to smile and get whatever. I try to go up to the front desk and get extras at like a hotel or something. Nothing. I never get anything, but my Hufflepuff friends, they come away with everything. It's just this natural, I don't know what it is.
Nice friendship making people.
Yeah. It's crazy. So I don't know. Let's talk about what is it about these two houses then, because they do seem so very different. Why do they seem to get along? Like, what works between the Hufflepuff Slytherin friendship, do you think?
Well, for me, what I personally think is, first of all, I would love to be in a relationship with a Slytherin. I think that would be amazing, because we could both be driven, both be, he wants to go do something, and I'm like, yeah, let's go do it. And together we build each other up and we achieve it. And he has the drive and the ambition to go and do the thing. And I'm there helping, also coming up with ideas, but also would bring like the human touch of like, hey, let's check on this person, see how they're doing, just to check up on them. And the Slytherin might be like, wow, I never even thought of that. That is so amazing. While the Hufflepuff might be like, I didn't know you could talk to this person, or I didn't know that you had this resource that you have. So as somebody that is very close to being a Slytherin, who is actually, I am very ambitious, and I am very driven. It is nice to have somebody that would equally be driven to do that. I do find it interesting, because I do want to be with a Slytherin, but at the same time, I did have a bad experience with a Slytherin who ended up completely stabbing me in the back. And it did kind of make me go, Slytherins are great. Sometimes. It depends on the Slytherin. Like, they're not all bad. But some of them do become dark wizards. I'm just saying. Saying.
It is true. Yeah, we can't escape that whole reputation no matter what we do. And I think that's why Hufflepuffs are good for Slytherins. They're a good balance, because I think they get Slytherins out of their shelf. Slytherins get in their heads a lot, or at least I know personally, I get deep in my head. I tend to overthink things, and I always have that resting face. You know what I'm talking about? So I always look mad.
Yes.
So it's nice to have that Hufflepuff that just comes along. And it's not that I'm not friendly or don't like talking to people, because I love to socialize, but it's just not my natural first inclination. So when you have a Hufflepuff friend, it's like they bring you along. But kind of leading. Yeah. Go ahead.
I mean, it's kind of like, do you watch The Mandalorian?
Yes.
It's kind of like, so you've got Mando, who is big, tough, scary, but then you give him tiny Hufflepuff baby Grogu, and you're like, oh, this balances out. It's not nearly as scary. Even though he looks really scary, you're actually like, oh wait, he is scary, but he does still love and care. And it immediately softens you up. And the same thing is with Slytherins. If you have a Slytherin that's big and tough and scary, but you put them next to a Hufflepuff who's just like, let's go do stuff, and you're like, oh, okay. No, I see. You just look scary, but you're actually a softie. I love it.
Yeah, I think it's that soft center, that because Slytherins are not very trusting people naturally, that I think Hufflepuffs can sort of bring that out. But like, so they do have this loyalty thing. I think that this is always interesting, because loyalty is a trait of Hufflepuff, but Slytherins admire loyalty a lot. I think they look at it different.
Yes.
How does a Hufflepuff look at loyalty versus a Slytherin? What do you think?
Well, for me personally, loyalty is definitely those who have been kind to me,
Mhm,
I will definitely be kind to as well.
mhm,
It's almost to a fault though, where it's
mhm.
like, well, I like this person, they did something that I really liked and I don't want them to not like me. So, of course, I'm not going to do something bad to them, even though they did kind of do this other thing that I wasn't really liking. But I'm not going to, try and sabotage them because that would be bad. So it's almost loyalty to a fault sometimes, depending on the Hufflepuff.
Mhm.
Um, but then if you got somebody that's like, you had my back when I was at my lowest, I will go to war with you. And that is definitely a Hufflepuff trait.
And I think it's interesting because you have Slytherin as your second. My second is Ravenclaw because of the artsy creative, but because you have a Slytherin second, I think you
Mm-hmm.
maybe can balance yourself out a little more than maybe 100% or 99%
A little bit.
Hufflepuffs. Yeah, which is good. I've
Yeah.
got to turn off my email, so it's not binging me the whole time. So for me, I think loyalty for Hufflepuffs, I feel like they extend loyalty first. They're willing to give it first and then see if it's reciprocated or what they need to do. Whereas Slytherins, I think a lot of times you need to earn that loyalty. So from my personal experience,
Yeah.
Slytherins have a smaller friend group. Like, so, but if you get into that Slytherin's inner circle, I mean, you're in, they will fight to the death
Yeah.
to take care of you, but they just don't let
Yeah.
everyone in, I think. So that might be one of the big
Yeah.
differences.
Like when I meet somebody, my immediate first thing is to automatically see the best in them.
Mhm.
Like, try not to judge, immediately go with what is the best quality. Because I personally believe that man is essentially good. Man being mankind is
Mhm.
essentially good. And everybody wants to do good. Nobody's intentionally going, I'm going to be evil now. It's like, no, everybody's doing what they believe is right. So, just looking for the best in everybody all the time. Like,
Right,
I know you are doing your best because everybody's doing their best.
right. So the glass half full. And I mean, not all Slytherins are
Right.
pessimistic. I think I'm a pretty optimistic person, but we can tend to look at something critically first and like maybe what's
Mm-hmm.
going on, what's the real reason that person is doing that. There has to be, an issue there. So sometimes I need a
Yeah.
Hufflepuff just to go chill out. It's not that big of a deal. There's not
Yes.
that many layers to it. Just calm down. So yeah.
And especially being like having such strong Slytherin tendencies and being in the industry that I am in, I am like, yes, people are good, but also I'm just looking for, is this a scam?
Right.
What's the angle? Is this So it's an odd balance of like,
Mhm.
I like you, but I don't trust you, but I like you.
Right. Which is interesting because a lot of Hufflepuffs would say their weakness is maybe being a bit too naive in things. So you
Mm-hmm.
have, again, that
Yeah.
balance. So what would you say are
I've been burned a couple of times before, so it definitely has built me up to be a little bit more aware of these things when,
right,
I wasn't earlier on in my career. And now I'm
right.
like, okay, I've seen this play before. I know how this ends. Let's do a
Hmm.
little research on you first.
A little experience goes a long way.
Just a little background check on you.
Exactly. Call my
Mm-hmm.
Slytherin friend up and
Mm-hmm.
see. They'll check it out.
Yeah, right. Like,
Oh my word. So so we're talking kind of traits, I guess, of Puffs and Slytherins. What do you think is a weakness of Hufflepuffs that Slytherins kind of come in there and compensate for or add to? And then kind of the vice versa, what's a weakness in Slytherins that, Hufflepuffs tend to kind of fit that little hole of that weakness in a trait?
I think Slytherins have a much stronger will.
Hmm.
I think they are much more like, you messed me up, we're done.
Hmm.
Whereas Hufflepuffs might be like, oh, well, you didn't mean to hurt me. I'm sure that this can be worked out if we just, talk some more and it can all be worked out. Whereas the Slytherin might be just like, no, we're done. Goodbye. Sayonara. Throat punch. We're finished, and being much, much more sturdy in their confidence of like taking no shit,
Hmm.
possibly. Whereas Hufflepuffs are really good at being gentle, being a little bit more empathetic with people, I think, and seeing things from a different perspective, not just their own, to possibly sympathize better with people.
Right. That's yeah.
Also,
That's
baking.
definitely accurate. Especially because I
Yeah.
feel like so many Hufflepuffs too are the mom in the group. It tends to
Mhm.
be, there's always a
Yep.
mom in the
Did
group.
you have water? Did you bring
Yeah.
snacks? Do you need sunscreen? I have a Band-Aid. If you see me at a convention, I have so many things prepped in my bag of just like things that might go wrong at a convention. Hot glue gun, sewing kit, Band-Aid, snacks, everything. You don't know.
And I'm over here thinking, why did you not prepare better? So that's like having the Slytherin. So yeah, but Hufflepuffs have saved me many a times. There's a Hufflepuff in kind of our convention friend group that we go with, and she is very much
Mhm.
that person that checks on things, because I'll just go and I don't think about what's happening, that I haven't had water in 5 hours, that because I'm focused on whatever it is
Right.
I'm doing. So to me, that's a Slytherin weakness, is we tend to kind of get focused and leave other things to the side. And that's been good to have those
Mhm.
Hufflepuff friends that remind you, hey, take care of
Yeah.
yourself, take care of other things.
The one time I went to a convention without like my bag super prepped of like things to fix stuff, my prop broke and there was no like repair shop.
Mhm.
Like, and nobody would give me a straight answer at the con. I would be like, where's the repair shop? They'd be like, it's over there. And so I went over there. I'm like, it's not here. Where's the repair shop? Oh, it's over there. Oh, no, it's not there. It's over there. Where's your repair shop? Oh, we don't actually have one this year. I'm like, great. I just spent an hour and a half trying to find the repair shop because you broke my prop. And then I just turned around and just shouted out into the crowd, does anybody have a hot glue gun? Does anybody, my prop broke. Does anybody have it? And within like 20 seconds, someone's like, I have super glue. I was like, thank you. Thank you.
That's all, because that's when I feel like Hufflepuffs just push forward. You always think of the Slytherins being the pushy one or ambitious or driven, but no, if it's something to take care of friends, to take care of like whatever's going on, that mom thing, they are gone. They will just push straight ahead.
Yeah.
They are not pushovers. A
Yeah.
lot of people always think Hufflepuffs, oh, they're easy, they're pushovers. No, they're not.
They tend to be pushovers when it comes to themselves.
Yes.
They are not really super good at putting themselves first and foremost. They
Yes.
will be like, if you mess with my friend, then I will beat you up. But
Mhm.
oh, you insulted me. Oh, that's fine. Whatever. I probably deserved it. That's why you need a Slytherin to go, oh, no, you didn't.
That is true. Yeah, you're right. They are kind of a pushover when it comes to themselves, which actually leads
Yeah.
me to an interesting. I posted this on Instagram the other day. I don't remember where I found it, but it was a self-care for all the different houses, like things that you would do for self-care. And I
Oh,
was
wow.
looking at Slytherin and
Yeah.
Hufflepuffs and just kind of asking some of my friends, does this sound accurate? So for the Hufflepuff self-care, it says that you have a generous and giving heart. Make sure that you're setting boundaries with the people around you. Turn your generosity towards yourself. Surround yourself with people who build you up. Do work that you love. Practice putting yourself first. Take a break from work and curl up with a baked good and a book. How accurate are those self-care tips? What do you think?
Those are pretty good. And I'm getting better at doing those kind of self-care things, where I'm really starting to go, wait, I'm not happy in this situation. I very recently had to leave my D&D group because
Mhm.
I was like, I'm not getting what I'm wanting out of this group. And I love you all, but I'm not actually having a good time with
Mhm.
this game and the way that this is being played. Because I was like, I want a lot of role play. I want to be a character and play. And everyone else was way more focused on the mechanics and the stats. And I was like, this isn't for me. I shouldn't, the entire party shouldn't have to change the way they're playing just to fit my needs.
Mhm.
So I love you all, but I'm leaving, which is something fairly new for me to be able to go, no, I'm putting myself first, and it's not in a damaging way to you. It's
Mhm.
just me going, I love you, goodbye. It was basically like a breakup. I was literally going, it's not you, it's me. I hope we can still be friends.
Right.
That whole thing, it was literally a breakup with my D&D group.
But you recognize it for what it was, and that you had to set up boundary. You're not getting
Yeah,
what you need out of it, which I think sometimes comes with
exactly.
maturity and age and insight. I don't know. So
Yes. Yeah, more experience for sure.
Yeah. So I was looking at Slytherins, and it was self-preservation can keep you from opening up and being vulnerable. So let others see who you are. Be less critical of yourself and others. Stop holding yourself to unattainable standards. Open yourself up to others, even when you fear rejection. Let go of what other people think of you and try something you're afraid to fail at. And for me, I thought those were accurate for the secondary Slytherin in you. Does that sound pretty accurate to you?
Yeah, those sound very accurate to the secondary Slytherin for me. I'm like, yeah, those sound, yep, I need to work on those for sure.
I know I'm very
And
bad
what
at
about
being
you?
vulnerable.
Yeah, right? It's like,
I don't know, just, and I am very
what if they
critical of
see me and
myself.
they hate me? What do
I
I do? Ah!
I
Mm-hmm.
know. I would
Mm-hmm.
rather criticize myself than others. And I think the one thing that is different for me being a Slytherin is that I have a theater background, acting background, author background. I'm so used to rejection. I'm used to how that works that I was able to develop a thicker skin. I mean, it still hurts, but
Yeah.
I'm used to that part of rejection. Where it's harder is just like my normal everyday. I don't want to look like I don't know what I'm doing. I don't want to feel like I'm,
Yeah.
weak. And then I think, what was the other
Of
one?
yeah, for me, like it was when I do a performance and I know I did a good job and I have fun with the performance and it's great,
Mhm.
later on, like usually when I'm trying to go to bed, my brain will start going, no, it was terrible. No,
Right.
they all hated you. They were just
Mhm.
making fun of you. They were just laughing to be polite. They just said nice things, but they didn't really mean it. Like that is definitely a thing that comes up for me
Mhm.
is even though people aren't saying it to my face, I think they are. Even though
Right.
they're probably not even thinking it, I
Mhm.
think that they think that way.
Yes.
And that is probably one of my most damaging qualities is that I want everyone to love me because I secretly think that everybody hates me.
Mhm. Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. And I definitely related to the try something you're afraid to fail at, because I think I don't call
Yes.
myself a perfectionist, but I am actually a perfectionist, and I like to do
Mm-hmm.
things when I know I'm going to be pretty good at it. And so for me, a lot,
Yes.
I've done a lot like this podcast. Like, I've just tried
Mm-hmm.
to challenge myself the last year to do a bunch of stuff I'm afraid of, because I've really realized, yeah, I tend to stick to the things I know I will be successful. So that's
Right.
hard. That's hard to open yourself up to something that, yeah, there's a good chance you're just gonna bomb. But it's good.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
good. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so let me switch gears for a second. So I wanted to talk about some other Hufflepuff Slytherins that we see maybe in the books or the films, whether it's Fantastic Beast or the Harry Potter series, because they seem so different, and we really don't get to see a lot of interaction between Slytherins and Hufflepuffs in books or movies.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any characters that you would have liked to have seen interact as friends from the Slytherin Hufflepuff? For example, I did a video a while back where they said your Hufflebuddy is lost. I think on TikTok, announcement, your Hufflebuddy is lost.
Yes.
And I was doing Professor Snape, and so he was going to get Professor Sprout. And this funny idea that somewhere very secretively Professor Sprout is his Hufflebuddy, and kind of, make sure he's doing okay, brings him, a glass of milk at night or something. And I thought that that was the most
Mm-hmm.
hilarious idea, because he's so self-sufficient and doesn't need anyone to do.
Yeah.
So, we don't have a lot of Hufflepuffs in the series, but is there any that
Oh
you,
God, no.
no, not enough.
I would have loved it if Draco had like a secret Hufflebuddy. Like you'd obviously have to make one up because the only canonical Hufflepuff really is not Draco, is Cedric.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you can only go so far with that character because he has very little screen time really.
Right.
So I would love if Draco had a secret Hufflebuddy. Like, or not so like if you wanted to really soften up Draco, give him a Hufflebuddy.
Mm-hmm.
Because I honestly don't think he would be nearly as big of a jerk. Oh no, I was about to say Moaning Myrtle would have been that, except she was a Ravenclaw. Never mind.
Right.
That would have made so much more sense if it was like, oh my God, that's why they got along for that brief amount of time.
Right.
But no, she was a Ravenclaw. I would have loved the Harry Potter series to feature a character from each house as the main core friend group. Because the houses aren't meant to really be divided. They work better when they work together. So if there was a Gryffindor, Slytherin, a Ravenclaw, and a Hufflepuff all in the main friend group, things would get done so much quicker.
Yes.
So much quicker. You wouldn't just have Harry going, well, I think it's so-and-so, and everyone else being like, nah, that's stupid. And then at the end, it's Harry's right. It would have been like, somebody else, the Ravenclaw would have been interested, or the Hufflepuff would have been like, yes, dear, we keep doing it, you know, let us know if you find anything, we'll be here when you're done, or something like that, something that was way more balanced, and way more conducive to getting things done, instead of just 3 Gryffindors blindly stumbling about and somehow managing to get it all done.
Blindly. It is very pigeonholing, just to always see the Gryffindors, and you never have that personality. And of course, for Slytherins, they're all up to no good and they're all evil. So none of them does anything productive.
Oh yeah, they're so evil. I'm like,
I'm always constantly
y'all
having
need
to
some
defend it.
balance.
I know. You know,
Oh,
it's the way we are. We're studying Macbeth in school right now. I can say Macbeth because I'm not directing a show, but it's all about ambition. And we just had that discussion of ambition's not good or bad. It's what you do with it. And unfortunately, they have that little tendency for power and control. It gets them into trouble.
You know, they have a mission. They have goals that they really want to reach to, and unfortunately, it can come off a little bit like I'm going to step on you to get there. But that's why you need other people to balance you out. God, I wish there was a canonical good guy Slytherin that wasn't Snape, because I know you do a lot with Snape, but he wasn't the greatest of guys.
No.
People have like definitely glorified him because of his endings. Like, Lily should have been with Severus. I'm like, no, she shouldn't. You know, yeah, he was a jerk to Harry, but he was also a huge jerk to Neville and Hermione. Like, Neville had such PTSD because of Snape. He was a child.
Listen, it was tough love, okay? It was tough love.
It was tough love. That was it, for sure. But yeah, I would have loved to have seen a Slytherin that was actually on the good guy's side. I would have loved to have seen what that dynamic would have brought to it. It's kind of like a little bit in I don't know if you ever watched Once Upon a Time.
Yes, definitely.
It's definitely Regina. Regina is for sure a Slytherin.
Yes.
So it's really fun seeing that dynamic when she becomes a good guy. So she still has that bite. She still has that wit. She still has that I don't give a crap attitude. But she is, you know, on the right side, being balanced out by her friends.
Right.
So more of that, canonically good Slytherin, and more representation for Hufflepuffs. Like, I'm so glad we have Newt. I'm so happy we have Newt Scamander. I'm like, you sweet, sweet Hufflepuff boy. I will love you forever. You're so sweet.
He's a very, to me, perfect example. The only thing I have to hold on to, and of course, everybody has all kinds of issues with Cursed Child, but as a Slytherin, I always defend it because at least we get to see 2 main characters that are in Slytherin and are good guys, and what that looks like, and the fact that Harry Potter could have easily been in Slytherin, so it makes sense that his son could have ended up there. I like that just because it presents them more normal. Like, here's most of the kids, but you know, we're just doing this and we make these choices, but we're not all going to be Death Eaters, kind of thing.
So that was the one thing I liked about Cursed Child was Scorpius Malfoy. Yes. Treasure that boy. Treasure him. Absolutely love Scorpius Malfoy, and I'm Narcissa, so I'm like, yes, we have a nice Malfoy boy. I'm so happy.
He is the most Hufflepuff Slytherin ever, and I love that because it shows you can be both. And I think you're a good example of that, because you kind of are a mix of 2, that you can be driven or ambitious or resourceful, but you can also have this tender heart and be vulnerable. And that's, you know, he's my all-time, apart from Snape, he's my all-time favorite Slytherin for sure. He's just, he's a cupcake. He's a cinnamon roll for sure. I love it. But yeah, I'm with you. I think it's funny. We watch my drama classes. We always watch Puffs, the musical, where you get to see,
I have not had a chance to watch that yet. I want to see that so badly. It's on my to watch list. I'm like, when it came across my For You page, I was like, wait, there's a musical about Hufflepuffs?
Oh, yes. Oh yes, and it is adorable. There are two versions that they perform. They have like the kid friendly one that they would do in the afternoon, and the adult one that they would do in the evening. But it's the adult one that they recorded, so it's got a little bit more adult humor. But it is so perfect. Like my son, who is a Hufflepuff, adores it because he says, "Yep, 100% accurate," in just the way they present all these Hufflepuffs and Cedric and this whole side story that's going on while the chosen one is doing his thing with Hermione and Ron, all the Hufflepuffs on the side. And I love it. I absolutely love it. So yeah, recommend it for sure. It is goofy and funny.
I'm gonna watch that later on today. I have to now watch it.
And if if you're a Harry Potter fan, and you can appreciate all the little references, because they're very clever at saying things without violating copyright. So they get clever in how they refer to things and do that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a good representation, I think, of Hufflepuff in a cute way. Like they're gently poking fun at themselves, I would say.
Right. What's fascinating about the Harry Potter fandom is there are things that are so known in the fandom that aren't actually canon to the books. Like Hufflepuffs are extremely good finders. I'm like, that's not actually canon. That's not canon. It's only because of the Harry Potter musical. And there's so many things like that where you're like, oh wait, that's not actually, we've just accepted it. It's just fanon. It's just what the fandom has accepted, but it's not actually part of canon.
It always cracks me up. Oh yeah, the way things have just eased in, and then of course things from the films that have sort of become canon that really don't have anything to do with the books. But that's a whole nother podcast right there. So
I got problems with those movies. But you know what?
I enjoy.
People might like them, and that's good for them. I have seen all of them at least once. And I think that's all I need to see of them. I do enjoy Fantastic Beasts way more.
I did really, yes. I love Fantastic Beasts. I do enjoy the movies as like a separate entity. So I kind of separate them from what happens in the book. So the problem is so many people don't know all the depths of characters and stuff because they didn't read the books. So that always, I always like to play devil's advocate.
Yes, the absolute shame and travesty of movie Ron compared to book Ron, and movie Ginny compared to book Ginny. I'm like, those are two completely different characters. It absolutely makes sense that people are like, Harry and Hermione should have ended up together if they've only watched the movies. Yeah, because that makes sense. But movie Ron is not the same as book Ron. Book Ron is way more perfect for Hermione. They both have that back and forth banter that they both actually really love, and Ron is way more likely to defend her and go after people that are mean to her than in the movies where was it Snape's like, don't be a know-it-all, and Ron's like, well, he does have a point. I'm like, no. Book Ron is like, how dare you talk to her like that? Why did you ask the question if you didn't want the answer?
Right.
Movie Ron.
I know. And I always talk about how he always makes suggestions. Like in the movies, it's always Hermione with the ideas and Ron follows. But in the books, Ron is making suggestion. He has ideas. He has input. He's smart. He's clever in his own right, and he just gets dumbed down so much in the movie. That's a whole nother bother. But speaking of Ron,
and the blandness of Ginny.
And Ginny. So poor Ginny.
Shame. Okay, yes. I know. Speaking of Ron,
so a lot of people, of course, have said he should have been in Hufflepuff. Are there any of the characters in the books or movies, whichever one you want to do, that you feel really technically should have been in Hufflepuff that were not, besides Ron? There's an argument for Ron, although I see a lot of different viewpoints for Ron. Depends on the version.
Yeah, there are. It's really interesting because I always think of Luna as a Hufflepuff, but she's a Ravenclaw, which does make sense because she is a Ravenclaw for sure. But I'm always like, yeah, Luna the Hufflepuff. Oh, wait, no, she's not. I think because there's so many times we see her wearing yellow that I'm like, yeah, Luna's a Hufflepuff. Oh, no, wait. No, she's not.
Right. That's true.
I just automatically associate that color with my house.
Mm-hmm.
So, especially in movies when colors are so meticulously picked out for a certain character,
Mm-hmm.
that I'm like, oh, wait, that was always confusing. Neville, to a point, should have been a Hufflepuff, but at the same time, he also makes a great Gryffindor. He's
Mm-hmm.
also a very good Gryffindor. I have always wanted to see a book or maybe even a little novella that was just Neville's point of view for that last book, his last year at Hogwarts.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see that with the Silver Trio. I think that would have been fascinating. I wish we could get that perspective. I wish there was a fan film like that. I would so watch that. That would be amazing.
Definitely.
That would be so good.
Yeah, I agree. I agree that, yeah, Neville, I go back and forth with where he would have been. I mean, he becomes such a good Gryffindor. He obviously has it inside him, but then,
Yes.
yeah, they talk about the herbology and just all the other stuff. So
Mhm.
it's definitely his second house. If if Gryffindor is
Yeah,
not
for
his
sure.
first,
For sure. For
100%.
sure.
And of course, we always talk about Hermione probably should have been Ravenclaw type of thing. Except I do
Right.
think about her blatant disregard for the rules, because she always pretends to be a rule follower, but yet she's not at all.
When the chips are down, she's willing to break the rules for sure. So
Yeah.
again, Gryffindor with strong Ravenclaw tendencies.
Yeah. I always think that's funny that a lot of people assume Slytherins are the rule breakers, but actually Slytherins appreciate the rules, and we hate when somebody gets something or is successful that did not follow the pattern or the rules or do what they were supposed to do. They just did it
Yeah.
however. So even though we're bad or presented as
Ravenclaws break
bad.
rules.
Mhm.
Ravenclaws break rules, but they just don't get caught.
No,
That's the trick.
that is very true. They're very clever at
Yeah.
hiding the body and not getting caught and all those
Yep.
weird things.
Yep.
I always love those little, reaction things that you see all the memes when how would each, house react to certain things happening, hiding the dead body
Yes.
or all those things.
Yeah.
So funny. Well, I
So
think
true.
we've kind of run a little bit of a lot of the gambit of Hufflepuffs and Slytherins.
Did
and
we
why
go too long?
No, not at all. We've been going
Okay,
about
good.
no, we've been going about a half hour, which is kind of where I was, intending more like 30 minutes or so.
Okay.
Um which is good. Because Slytherins and Hufflepuffs, like I say, it's fascinating to me how they get along, why they seem to get along, but it's just a combination that seems to work in ways that
It's
I
like
think
peanut
are
butter
different.
and chocolate.
Yeah. That's a good
Yeah.
analogy. I like that. Peanut
Yeah.
butter and chocolate. And they are, whereas
Mhm.
Slytherin and Gryffindor are like opposite sides of the coin. I think that's easy for everybody to see.
Yeah.
There's a weird parallel between the Hufflepuffs and Slytherins.
Yeah.
Maybe if Slytherins were a little less concerned about themselves and appearance and being vulnerable, they might more have that personality. I don't know. That's my
Yeah.
thoughts. Any
Yeah.
final thoughts for you about Slytherin and Hufflebuddies that we didn't cover? I mean, we talked about a lot of things.
We did. It's fascinating to think about why Slytherins and Gryffindors don't get along. It's like
Mhm.
you have the Gryffindor who's just like going towards it, doing it, kind of throwing caution to the wind, whereas the Slytherin might be more meticulous in the planning process, planning out the heist, getting everything all ready to go, getting all the kits, lining everything up, and then the Gryffindor will just plow through the front door and you're like,
Yes.
man, I had everything planned.
Yes.
So I could definitely see why they would not get along. But if they had like an overarching bridge to work together,
Mhm.
it would work so well. Again, you need all four houses working together. That's what you need.
You really do. Someone else that would come in and bind the parts, because I think Gryffindor and Slytherin could be a massive force for good, and
Yeah.
if they had that median person in between them, because they are so opposite. And like Gryffindor was my lowest score when we did the percentages. I mean, I had very little Gryffindor,
Yeah.
and I think it has a lot to do with the fact that I do not leap before I look. I think things through. I am not just plow through willy-nilly. My other son is 100% Gryffindor, and I don't get his head. I have the hardest time getting into his head because we are so opposite. I don't get where he's coming from. I try. So you need that median kind of, and I think, Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff we consider them kind of the middle between the two, but really I think it's like this spectrum. They all kind of bleed into the other one that works.
Yeah, and it would be because we always talk about the Slytherin and the Hufflepuff, but no one ever talks about the Gryffindor and the Ravenclaw, because I'm like, you don't see a lot of that, but I feel like that would be an interesting combination, and I'm so not the person to talk to about that. I have like no insight on that, but it would be kind of like, I would like to delve deeper into why that would work. I just don't know where to begin on that.
All I can think of just from my Ravenclaw second is, we like to come up with ideas and plan and think things through and then let the Gryffindor do it. Watch how it happens.
Right. Like, here's the plan. Go get them.
Yeah, because they have no fear. And that is the positive part about Gryffindors, is you need that personality that just says, I'll screw this. Let's just do it. Because if you didn't, I think Ravenclaws would have a tendency to hang back. Slytherins would have a tendency to hang back. Hufflepuffs just checking to make sure everybody's okay with the plan.
Yes.
And so you have to have, that's why Gryffindors are the natural leaders. They have that charm and charisma. Yeah. People go, okay, we can follow. So I think Ravenclaws recognize intelligence, greatness, success, and so they could definitely lean into Gryffindor because, like, okay, we can work together. It'd be fascinating to hear from a Gryffindor Ravenclaw friendship, because I don't really know of any. I have Gryffindor friends, I have Ravenclaw friends, but not that are friends with each other like that. So interesting thing.
We'd have to look into that.
I know. And if anybody who's listening to this on my Podbeam or on my YouTube channel, leave a comment if you've got that friendship, that Gryffindor Ravenclaw friendship, because that would be really neat to hear. So as always, Madison, when I have guests, and you are my repeat guest, and I'm so excited that you came back, I want to take a couple of minutes here at the end just to talk about what you have been up to. I know, well, we're all over the place with all of our industries right now, with just things being the way they are. We've had to be creative. Things have been interesting. I do know that you wrapped up the Great Wizarding War not too long ago, that wrapped. So
last
just
recording session.
Yeah. So just tell us a little bit about maybe that, or what you've been doing lately, or maybe what you have coming up anytime in the near future, anything like that.
Well, wrapping Wizarding War, it was so kind of surreal and a little sad, because it was like, when I had previously been recording stuff for Wizarding War, we were all together in a big group, in a big sound studio. It was like this big party. And then for my last stuff as Narcissa, it was like, well, I'm here in my sound booth, and I have the director on Zoom along with Anna playing the opposite part, and okay, this is it. And it was kind of like, I wish it had gone out on a huge bang. That would have been amazing. Unfortunately, it kind of went on at okay, and now we're done. Goodbye. So that was sad, but I think the final episode of Wizarding War is going to be epic. It's going to be so good. I think it's the longest episode we've ever had, and it is huge. It's what Justin does and what the sound designer does to make it a full experience is absolutely mind-boggling. I'm always blown away by what they have created, and I'm so glad that I was able to be a part of it. And I've actually started another D&D group. Well, I haven't started. I'm a part of another D&D group now with a lot of Hogwarts professors from TikTok. So we've had a really fun time, because it's like, we already know each other, and we've already played pretend with each other before, and now we're playing pretend in this new setting. So that's been really fun, and feel like, yeah, I know you from here, and I know you from here, and I know how you work, and I know we can be creative. And we've only had a couple of sessions so far, but it has just been so much fun, and we're gonna start live streaming the shows, I think, on the Total Party Knockout YouTube channel. So that is going to start happening on Friday, Saturday, Sundays. So that is definitely something that you can look forward to. You can also find some of my work on my website at madisonbrunoehler.com, or check me out on my other social medias, which is Maddie to the Max, MADI, the number 2 the Max. I'm that on YouTube, I'm that on Twitter, I'm that on TikTok. So people can definitely check out my crazy costume stuff there. Definitely trying to get up some of the motivation to put back on costumes with conventions not happening at the moment. It's like, yes, I want to do that costume eventually. So those are going to hopefully be starting up once again, and I'll start doing fun cosplay stuff again.
Cool. Side quick, just note, what are your top favorite costumes you've enjoyed doing the last, say, couple of years on TikTok or whatever? Because you've got some great ones.
I love my Alphaba cosplay so much. Like Alphaba has for a really long time been one of my big comfort characters. I do love Narcissa. I am very biased about her. I once got into an argument with somebody on like Facebook. There was like a post about how, you know, Harry Potter was saved by Narcissa's love and all that. And I put in the comments, Narcissa Malfoy is an absolute fantastic character, and I will fight anybody that says differently. And someone wrote back, okay, let's fight. She was a Death Eater. She was terrible. I was like, okay. And just typed out like this entire like essay about how amazing she was. And it was like, they did not reply. Like, you came to this battle unprepared, mortal fool. So Narcissa has a very strong place in my heart. I do an Aziraphale cosplay from Good Omens, which I really wanted to take to conventions. I have so many different pieces and props from that cosplay that I think it will look amazing, but I haven't had a chance to wear them anywhere. I'm actually working on a Thumbelina cosplay from the what was it, 1994 Thumbelina, the Don Bluth movie. So I'm working on that cosplay, which hopefully I'll have done here pretty soon. And then my D&D character, I'm definitely wanting to film some stuff for that character when I have all the pieces ready.
Oh, that's awesome. I had a short stint with D&D a long time ago, and then nobody else got into it, and then I never did. One day that's on my list to like delve into again, because it's always just so fun.
It is just so much fun. It is. It really is. And it has just been such a great outlet, because I've had days where it's like, I don't feel human right now. I don't feel good. And D&D has definitely been like, I feel alive. I feel like a human being again, pretending to be someone else in a fantasy world. This is amazing. It has definitely brought me up when I have felt very down and been like, to be happy. I remember what that feels like.
Oh yeah. I feel that way about cosplay, just especially now with no conventions and no theater. So I've got no productions to direct or anything like that. So that is my pick me up, I guess, when I'm down, just to get to be somebody else for a little bit. And it's just kind of a happy place. And I'm kind of like you. I will defend like Snape to the last. I know he wasn't, he had all these problems, but I get a lot of people say, well, I think I'm actually going to do an episode of was Snape actually a bully? And because that's always going to get some good like people that
that's going to get some discussions happening.
Yeah, so that's always a lot of fun. But yeah, the cosplay is just fun. Your cosplay is fantastic on TikTok. I'll have to go to your page, because I think we've got this weird shadow ban thing going on where I just don't see people on my For You page at all anymore. So,
well, a lot of my stuff that I've been posting has not been cosplay content, because I haven't had the motivation to get into cosplay. So a lot of it has been just me talking about D&D and Critical Role and things like that. So I haven't really had my usual content, which hasn't been showing up on people's For You pages. So it's like, okay, I'm going to get there. I'm going to get there eventually. It's going to happen. It'll happen. Any day now. Here we go.
Yeah, it'll be good. I get so many comments. Oh wow, you're back. You've been gone for months. No, I haven't. I post every week. But anyway, just keep doing what you're doing. I don't know. Well, I hope everyone will check out all of your social media, because you're a fantastic person to follow, always full of energy. I mean, you do everything. You sell t-shirts. I mean, you do all things. So definitely
I'm trying to. Half of my income went away, so it was definitely like, okay, time to get creative.
Yep. You have definitely pulled the Slytherin in with the Hufflepuff and got the goals going. So definitely check out Maddie to the Max, you guys. And of course, if you are interested in my stuff, Christy J. Whitney, pretty much everywhere for everything except for have two Instagrams, Christy J. Whitney and Christy J. Whitney _ Professor Snape, because that's my other ego. So you can find my stuff there. But I just want to say thank you again, Maddie, for taking time out of your schedule. And I don't know, I might keep calling on you every so often saying, hey, I want to discuss something and I need another viewpoint.
I would love that. I am so down for that. Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for joining us for this episode of Slytherins and their Hufflebuddies. Now it's time to gather up those potion ingredients and mind your robes, because class is dismissed.